So Arsenal safely through to the semi-finals then of the Carabao Cup. Let's welcome in Gab Marcotti and Nadim Anua, shall we? Nadim, no surprises here?
No, none whatsoever. I think there was a little spell maybe when it was 2-1, Arsenal thought we were a little bit on the back foot, but after a while the quality started to shine through. And unfortunately for Sunderland, I guess it was a bad matchup because for the way that they like to play, you know, you're not going to outplay Arsenal at the Emirates. So when Arsenal decided to step up just that little bit and be clinical and press the right way, you know, the quality really shone through, and it's a good result for them. It's a great hat-trick for Nketiah. It's a great debut goal for Patino. And you see one or two Arsenal players who don't start week in, week out, looking like they may be knocking on the manager's door tomorrow, saying, well, maybe it's my time to have a bit more action.
Yeah, Gab, I'd forgot about Pepe.
Yeah, Mr. 80 million euros. Obviously, he finds it difficult because they're pretty settled with what they want to do. But he's there. He's in the mix. He's a long-term contract. With those wages, nobody's going to come and take him away. And I think he gives you something different from that wide position. Remember, he's also played in the past at Lille. He's also played as a second striker. He's got a different skill set. I don't think Arteta shut the door on him. And I think in certain games, he could come in handy.
So for Arsenal, of course, through to the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup, but their main objective, you'd imagine, this season is to finish in the top four, and obviously they're in a good run of form at the moment after losing their opening 3 matches. Much talk then about Arteta's future. Well, that certainly has been silenced. You take a look at the odds. You can see that Arsenal remain, though, 3-1. It's Manchester United who are big favourites, 11-8 on. Spurs, meanwhile, 7-2. They've got a number of games in hand. Have Antonio Conte's side. Wolves then 125-1. Leicester City at 40-1. Nadim, how would you assess Arsenal's top 4 chances?
Well, you have to like them for now. I think given the fact that for the past 2 years, you know, they finished up 8th, whereas now they're in 4th position heading into the Christmas period. Like, this is very, very significant. It's very key. And for some teams who've been missing games, I think they'll be losing out because essentially you'd rather have the points on the board, and Arsenal are managing to do that. I think there's still a level of sort of inconsistency which have shown in recent times, but I think they look confident. I think you could see that today, even though essentially it was against a side 2 divisions below. They still showed signs to show that they were in a good spot, because if they were in a bad spot, I think that would have been a far trickier game. But yeah, I think as for them in 4th now, it's great. There is going to be competition for it because so many teams are striving for it. But for me, I just feel like for United, this is going to be the be-all and end-all of their season. I think with the squad that they have, I think if Arsenal are to do it, then United are going to be their biggest competitors between now and the end of the season.
Do you agree, Gab?
Yeah, I'd throw other teams into the mix as well. You know, as potential competitors. Certainly, Spurs. You know, West Ham have dropped points, but they're not that far away either. I think the main concern with me for Arsenal is that, you know, you've got Lacazette, who's out of contract in June. You have Edward Nketiah, who's out of contract in June, and you have Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who's on the naughty step. Those are your center forwards. So unless you move for somebody in January, unless you extend Lacazette, unless you try something weird like Martinelli up front or Pepe up front, you know, at some point it becomes really, really difficult when you have this uncertainty, because as well as you play, and they've played very well, you need somebody up front to go and turn the chances into goals.
Who you got top 4, Shaq?
Manchester United right now. I still think that they have the strongest squad. I still believe they'll improve under Ranić. And I just don't have as much confidence in Arsenal's depth or Spurs' consistency.
I can't remember Manchester United ever playing. It's been that long. What's this from Norwich? Crikey. Ali, I suppose if I'm a Spurs fan or an Arsenal fan, I'm buoyed by the fact there's no Europe to worry about.
Right.
So in that sense, obviously, you've got proper time to prepare for these games, as opposed to United, obviously, still involved in the Champions League.
For now. Look, I think, yes, that's something that you can hang your hat on. What I also think is it's interesting to hear Nadim describe Arsenal as finishing in the top 8. I didn't know there was such a thing as the top 8.
Yeah, there is.
But, okay. Well, in any case, so a team that has struggled to finish seasons off like Arsenal has over the past couple of years, it just feels like at some point the wheels are going to come off. and the consistency of results is going to fall off. And at that point, that's when you feel like Manchester United should have that depth that Shaq is talking about for them to be able to push forward. Spurs, I think, is a bigger threat to Manchester United than Arsenal. In the end, I think Spurs are going to be the team that perhaps potentially, if Antonio Conte is the genius that everybody paints him out to be, that he's going to get the best out of this team, that he's going to squeeze everything that he can out of this team. And eventually, in a game that matters, perhaps Spurs is the sort of team that can push Manchester United.
So you got United, Spurs, Arsenal.
That is correct.
Native, you haven't mentioned Spurs at all. What's wrong with them?
I think so far this season is the fact they've not scored enough goals. I think Kane hasn't scored enough. I think they're probably second or third lowest scorers in the league at this moment in time. So for Conte, you know, he needs to try and address that. But I don't know if that's necessarily going to be one of his biggest strengths. But it's for sure that he's a very good manager. And Spurs will be more competitive between now and the end of the season. But I don't know, will they be able to score enough goals going forward, but then still be solid at the back to be competitive? I think if they win their games in hand, then great, they're in there. But the fact is, it's going to be very, very tough there. And to go back on what Ali said, I said they finished 8th. I didn't say they finished top 8. I said they finished 8th. So you can relax, my friend.
Run it back. Right. Run it back. Run it back.
All right, children, it's festive time. Come on, it's really nice. Come on,
But NATO is very sensitive.
it's practicing for family dinners, isn't it?
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.